Jonathan, in 3 months, I'm about to quit the corporate world after 7 years of working so I can manage my own business. I have saved enough capital, I think, but I don't have any idea yet on what to do. Ooh, that's a red flag, Isabella, research analyst from Hong Kong. I thought of entering food business, which is easy in today's pandemic world. A lot of people are now online, or becoming a distributor of phones and gadgets. Also good. I came from the telco industry, very good margins in that industry. Any tip as an entrepreneur yourself? So obviously, Isabella, it seems like Isabella has made up her mind. She does want to become an entrepreneur, and that's a good thing, right? We choose our own paths. The question now is she quitting at the right time? And is she prepared to quit now in the middle of the pandemic, right? So, and I want to throw the same question to our participants. In the past 12 months, I have thought of setting up my own side business given the opportunities or uncertainties caused by the pandemic. Could you please type letter A, yes, it has crossed my mind, or letter B, no, John, I am not the entrepreneurial type yet, and I prefer the stability that's being offered by a corporation or by an organization, right? Could you please type? Obviously, this doesn't apply to me because I've left the corporate world for a few years, almost a decade now. So I'm seeing a lot of letter A in the chat box. I won't be surprised. You know, this pandemic has really created a lot of new entrepreneurs, new businesses as well. Okay, when a lot of us are looking for side hustles, or a lot of us have been unemployed, and so we have to look for ways of earning and making a living. Here are a few tips I'd like to share. So this is feedback, because this is feedback that you need to tell to your manager if ever you're quitting. This is feedback that you need to tell to your relatives and loved ones. Please take note. You need to explain this life critical decisions to the people who are going to be affected about it. Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate to that? If you have a husband or wife and you have a kid, you don't just make this decision on your own. You need to share the logic, the rationale to the people who are going to be affected about it. If you're quitting your job, likely your manager is going to be asking about it. And if your answer is because I want to have my own business, be prepared that she is going to ask more questions about it. Not that she has control about it, but obviously it's her way of wanting to make you stay in the company, right? So how do you share those things, right? So here are a few tips. So again, let's look back. What do we know? This person's leaving in 7 years. She is going to leave in 3 months. So there is still time. And that means for people in the company, there is also time for her to stay. Change her mind and convince her that she is not ready yet. Okay? Those are the things that we know about Isabella. So a few tips I'd like you to consider. Number 1, 3 considerations before quitting. Number 1 is cash flow. So when I say cash flow, if you have a family or if you are a breadwinner, you might want to have a heart-to-heart discussion with your loved ones and say, if I am going to leave my job and I, unfortunately, do not become successful in my business, what is your safety net that you can remain to be unemployed for a few months until you go back to the corporate world again? Because here's what happens. When you fail in your business, you don't set up another business after that. That's not the usual route. The route is you go back again to the corporate world because you want to accumulate money again that you may have lost significantly, right? Unless, of course, someone gave you another opportunity and say, hey, you lost your job, you lost your business, here's another $1 million, start all over again. It doesn't happen like that. So here is when I would strongly ask you, talk to your loved ones and say, this is a life-changing decision. Are you with me? And are you going to be supportive of whatever happens? This might also mean pooling your resources with your loved one. Here's how much I have in the bank. How much do you have with your bank? What are the other expenses that are major that need to happen this year? If you're a breadwinner or if you're a family, if you're a parent, and you know that the tuition fees of your kids are about to happen in the next few months, then it may not be the right time to just simply quit and venture into a new business and use your capital just for that. Okay? That endangers the expenses of the household. So the first one. Number 2 is entrepreneurial skills. I would strongly recommend that if you want to become a businessman, ask feedback from the people who know you well and say, hey, I am planning to do this business. I'm planning to do food, gadgets, clothing. What do you think of it? How do you think is the economy going to respond to it? What do you think of me as an entrepreneur? Do you think I have the skills? What do you think are my strengths in being able to do that? It's a painful question to ask because it's going to hurt your ego when you have people who are going to decline you, but you need to get this information out there. Why? Because most of the time, if you're an entrepreneur, you already fall in love with your own idea to the point that you do not question your own shortcomings. Right? So when you can. So I know that this session is about giving constructive feedback, but I'm going to flip the coin. This is about you asking for constructive feedback. If you have a best friend at work who knows you inside and out, you've been in the company for 7 years, and she knows that you are leaving the company anyway, this is the right time to ask the question, hey, Anna, you know me well, but I would love to know, in terms of my competency and skills, do you think I'm ready to take on this job? Do you think I'm ready to have my own business? Right? Hey, I plan to create my own store on Lazada and Shopee. Here is my product. What do you think of it? Do you think it will sell? Do you think people will buy it? Okay. Asking more feedback from different people is going to bounce off your ideas and say, is this the right thing to do? Okay? Right? I'm reading a message here from Stella. We can always have a choice of having a second or sideline business for additional income. But if I really desire to have my own business, I have to become ready first. That's true. So readiness, we often get trapped into the excitement and the thrill of it. We remember all these Hollywood movies of people becoming successful in their job. But that is the romantic part of getting a business. There are so many hurdles and headaches of setting up one. So unless you are ready, you might want to validate that by asking for feedback from other people. The third one that I would add here has something to do with the business stability. Business stability means if you are still experimenting with this new business, I would recommend, and this is where my next tip comes in, that you juggle both items first. Keep your current job, do well in it, and then experiment with your current business and see if it is doing well. If you've noticed that what you are potentially going to earn from the business, because it's so doing well, is even going to get bigger to the point that it's way bigger than your salary and that your job is just getting into the way of becoming successful, then that is the right time to finally exit the corporate world. Otherwise, I would recommend to consider juggling both items first. I'm going to say this because that's how I would vouch for my experience. When I won Apprentice Asia and I served 3 years in Air Asia as a corporate guy, this was the time when I was already doing a lot of consultancy work. And there was a point in time when I told to myself, hey, I think the business is already so stable to the point that my corporate job is stopping me from getting more clients. And I thought to myself, I think I'm ready. And I only decided that on my third year when I started my business. So that's a lot of time. Some people can take 6 months or 8 months. Some people can take 2 years. Your goal is to identify your readiness. And when you're ready, that's when the time that you let go of one of the balls in your hands. Okay? So that's when you transition slowly out of it if you have met the 3 criteria above. Okay? And again, all of these things include asking for feedback from a lot of people. You know what I did? I asked my ex-mentors, my ex-coaches, and my ex-bosses in my company. So I worked for Globe Telecom. I worked for GlaxoSmithKline. I contacted my ex-bosses and told them, hey, I'm on a crossroad right now. I am planning to leave the company because blank, blank, and blank. What do you think of it? And the more I gathered information from my ex-bosses, those types of feedback, because they know me inside and out, minus the awkwardness of them being my boss, the more I was able to tell myself, I am making the right decision. Okay? All good? Can I get an exclamation mark? Are we learning something from that? I want to highlight that because we often get emotional when we want to quit because there is a thrill of freedom. But that short-term benefit does not outweigh the long-term cost of sacrificing so much. And by the 6th month, you remain to be unemployed and your business is not doing well. and you tell yourself, how I wish I did not quit yet.